How yins doing? Welcome back to Yins Are Good, the podcast that shares the good stuff that's going on out there, shares your stories of times when someone somehow made your life better. I am your host, Tressa Glover, and I am coming to you from my hometown of Pittsburgh, PA. This episode 11, is dropping on December 30th, 2020. I sure do hope that your holidays have been happy. Although I do feel like in 2020 when we say happy or how are you doing? And you say, oh, I'm fine, or I'm okay, I'm good. I feel like there should be an asterisk next to those, right? And there's a little key and you go down and it says 2020's version of happy, 2020's version of good, well, okay. But I do. I hope that your holidays are as good as they can be. I actually had a pretty wonderful Christmas. I mean, I met with a lifelong friend and mentor for socially distanced, outdoor, masked mimosas on Christmas Eve. I mean, we didn't wear the masks when we drank the mimosas, of course, but, and we actually Zoomed on Christmas, with immediate family, and then actually had a Zoom with extended family, which was hilarious because there were many of us. And, and it's tough because I come from a family of huggers, right? We're big huggers, like to hug each other, like to hug, we meet people for the first time. Oh, can I give you a hug? I'm a hugger. So this year, of course, it's been difficult in that way as well. But I'll tell you what, just to be able to see everyone from all across the country, to see each other, to hear each other's voices, and to have that time, where we all had to sit there, right, and listen to each other. And, normally there's 17 conversations going on at one time if we were all in the same house, in the same place. But it was still really special, and I feel really lucky that we were able to do that. And I hope that you were able to find some joy on your Christmases and Hanukkahs, and are continuing to through Kwanzaa, so on December 30th, will be on its 5th day of celebration. And so I hope that you all have found or are finding ways to connect with your loved ones, and maybe even some new friends, some people that you've met recently, and you're creating new friendships and new bonds. So I hope you're able to do that during this time. So what do we have on tap for you? Well, okay, so New Year's Eve rapidly approaching, and of course there's a lot of talk about good riddance to 2020, right? And of course, agreed. But I thought we could balance this all out. Well, we are focusing on the good here on Yins Are Good. And what kind of host would I be if I didn't find a way to do that? But I thought, okay, let's think about some of the bright spots of this past year. Yes, there were some, I promise. I'm actually referring to this as our Silver Linings episode, as we get ready to turn over into a new year. But let's look for those silver linings. So on our Facebook and Instagram pages, I posted this fill in the blank. Amidst the chaos and uncertainty of 2020, there were also some bright spots in my life, like blank. And we received just really, of course, as always with you all, wonderful responses. So I will be sharing those today. And we also have some more responses to that other fill in the blank. I want to thank blank for blank. So we have those coming up for you as well. Oh, and never fear, Name That Neighborhood will make an appearance, obviously. But there is a bit of a different theme this time. So stay tuned for that. As always, I'm going to say it. Call us, email us. with a story, with your story of gratitude for someone who made your life, or maybe even just made your day better, who made you smile on a day when you didn't think it was possible, who's given you hope for the future. So give us a call, 1-833-399-GOOD, or shoot us an email, yinsaregood@gmail.com. Also, as I mentioned, be sure to follow us on our Facebook page. Follow us on Instagram, because those are other ways for you to get your stories and get your thoughts out as well. So, without further ado, let's get to the good stuff. All right, so let's start with our I want to thank blank for blank. We have Elaine, who says, I want to thank you for being you. And Tammy, I want to thank you for everything. Thank you both very much for that. That means the world. Thank you. From Eleanor, I want to thank God for everything. From Esther, I want to thank God for another day. From Lovey, I want to thank God for giving me life and keeping me here with my family and loved ones. And now, let's move on to our next fill in the blank. Amidst the chaos and uncertainty of 2020, there were also some bright spots in my life, like blank. Jeanette says, so far all members of my family are safe from COVID-19. Judy, faith. Tony says, working. Dean's bright spot, being able to work from home. James says, I learned I can watch TV with the volume at mute. Then I don't have to hear the same damn commercials all the time. You know what that actually reminded me of, James? So this past Sunday, the Steelers played the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, I am a huge sports fan, all of our sports here. I have discovered, especially the last few games, that I now have to watch the TV on mute. And I was watching the game kind of like between my fingers. My little eyeballs sticking out from between my fingers because it's been a crazy few games. But when I read that from James about mute, I thought, that is my connection to mute this time of year. Although the better thing is when you put it on mute and then put the guys on DVE on WDVE and hear them call the game. And if it syncs up, it's great. But that's what that reminded me of at this certain period of time, James. Okay, so we'll keep moving here. So let's see. Another bright spot from Britt. Lots of quality time with my high school and college-age kids. That's awesome. Randall says, Trump losing. Keith, anticoronavirusmovie.com. So we're going to have to check that out. That's the site for it, anticoronavirusmovie.com. Anita says, practicing piano. I love that. I love, right, the time that we're finding, or that, we have to maybe pick something up that we studied years ago or try something for the first time. Lovey, again, we heard from her earlier that I don't have to cook as often. Patty says, a bright spot. Our church, Fairview, opened up in Howard, and Dave finally became our pastor. Plus, another fantastic week spent with my whole family at the Outer Banks. Cassidy says, starting my own business. And when I saw this, I replied to Cassidy and said, oh my gosh, what business are we talking about? And it's called Miss Cassidy Creates. And it's educational and fun kids content. And as she says, it started as fun activity videos to keep my friends' kids occupied during quarantine and has grown beyond anything I imagined. So if you're interested in learning more Miss Cassidy Creates. And so it's spelled out there, Miss Cassidy, Cassidy, Creates. Especially if you go to Facebook, you'll be able to pull up the page there to find out more about that. That is awesome, Cassidy. Congratulations. From Douglas, getting married. Douglas, congratulations. That's truly, truly wonderful. Many years of happiness to you both. From Joanna, finding time for the first time to study a new language. That is awesome. Esther says, love, family, and friends. Mike, beautiful twin great nieces. Oh my gosh, Mike, congratulations to you and your whole family. And from Tim, finding my long lost son. He goes on to say, I did an Ancestry.com genetic test and found I had a son who is 50 years old and a grandson who is 20. We just celebrated my birthday and vacation together a couple months ago. I dated his mother when we were in college. That's pretty incredible, Tim. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. And we really do wish the best for you and your newfound family, and sending so much love to you all. As always, to all of you who have shared your thoughts, your stories, thank you. Thank you. I know I really do treasure reading all of them. And as I've talked about before, this community. And I know I think there's something in all of your thoughts and stories I know that I can connect with in some way. And I'm hoping that our audience is finding that out, or finding that to be true as well. So to all of you, yins are good. Hi there, Don.
Hi, Tressa.
How are you this day?
Oh, just peachy keen. How are you?
Oh, peachy keen as well. Here we are. So this is our Name That Neighborhood segment. However, a little different. Yeah, a little different. So basically, you're going to get a little break from the quizzing.
No.
It's true. It's true.
Wow, like Mike Brady emerging from the rubble at the construction site at the end of a very Brady Christmas. I'm going to call this a Christmas miracle.
Wow. Yes, that is exactly the imagery that I was hoping to evoke for our audience. Yeah. So make sure you have
Good.
a hard hat on. I do. I think you need that.
Always.
Yeah. Good. Well, then we're ready to proceed. So actually what this is, it's kind of, I'm going to call it Name That Holiday Tradition. Basically, I'm just going to talk about a couple of holiday traditions here in Pittsburgh. And we're just going to learn a bit more about those. And you can just listen in, or how exciting for you. No, chime in as you like. Let's see what happens here.
Sure.
All right. Although I am disappointed that I can't have that buzzer sound when you're wrong.
Well, you can just say my opinions are wrong and buzz me whenever you feel.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to note that. So first, let's talk about something that is always downtown Pittsburgh for years and years. The Horns Christmas tree. Yeah. So I know from the time I can remember, and this was back when we would go downtown and see Santa at Horns. We would go see Santa up there. I forget what floor, but they did the whole floor like a winter wonderland. And so as you waited, you were winding through Santa Land and then got to Santa. And we'd look at the store windows, right? Because they were always done up. And of course, on the corner there of the building was that Christmas tree. Yeah. So talk a little bit about, well, first of all, okay, so the Joseph Horn Company was founded on February 22nd, 1849, by Joseph Horn.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I feel like you would have gotten that one right if it would have been a question.
Yeah.
I feel good about that for you. And Horn's actually was the first department store in Pittsburgh. It was. So Mr. Horn was actually born in Bedford County and then came to Pittsburgh, eventually, worked in retail and eventually made his way to the F.H. Eaton store. He became a business partner, and at the young old age of 23, he bought the business.
Wow.
How about that?
Ambitious fella.
Right? So this would have been 1849, and he renamed it, of course, to the Joseph Horn Company. But almost right away, locals referred to it simply as Horns. And then it was 1879 when that building that I was talking about downtown at Penn and Stanwix, that's when that was built in 1879. And then Joseph Horn himself passed away in 1893. So that gives you that idea of, the beginnings of it. But here's something interesting. In 1907, the Joseph Horn Company purchased 52 acres in the North Hills, and it was for a camp for the junior employees who aged in range. Nope. Ranged in age.
Words are hard sometimes.
They are sometimes. So the age range for them was 12 to 14.
Wow.
So this was clearly before child labor laws.
Mm-hmm.
So there were kids that young working, and they put this camp together, and there was swimming and boating and canoeing and other games. Eventually it was sold. It was in 1960 it was sold. But that site is what gave us the area that's now Camp Horn Road. Camp Horn.
Yeah.
Right? I never even realized the spelling of Horn for Camp Horn Road was the same as Joseph Horn.
Yeah, me neither.
So that's where, and so the site where the camp was is now where the Avonworth Community Park is. That's how that all started.
Isn't that fun fact?
Isn't it though? Oh wait, there's a couple more.
Oh boy.
So, back to the actual store itself. Pittsburgh native Andy Warhol, when he was studying at Carnegie Tech, which of course now is CMU, this would have been in the 1940s, he had a part-time job of designing the window displays that I was speaking of. I mean, I didn't see the ones he designed, of course, but yeah, so he would do their store windows. And then, of course, as time went on, Horns was acquired by different groups. And then in the 90s, it merged with Lazarus. And that is when that official Horns name was taken from all the stores, sadly. But through all of that Horns Christmas tree survived. And it still helps to ring in the holiday season. Even though now, of course, that building is the Highmark Penn Avenue Place building. And the tree now officially is known as the Unity Tree. But you'll still find it to this day.
To this day. And you'll find it in some stock footage, outdoor shots in Hallmark movies.
You are correct. Yeah.
Seen it a few times.
Yes. Yep. It's iconic.
It is. And I believe it was Horns. And I could be wrong, but my nana, that's Italian for grandmother, who passed away in April at the age of 100. When I was around 10 or 11 years old, we would take the bus into town. We would go to Candy Rama, and I would get to pick up some candy, and then we would have lunch. I believe it was Horns. It was a diner in the basement of one of the department stores downtown. It was either Horns or Gimbals. I don't know which.
Yeah, Gimbals. Wow. What a nice memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nana, making it happen. And now, I guess we'll move on to our second out of two Pittsburgh traditions that we're talking about here for the holidays. And this one...
Is it an age of ranges?
Only if you're lucky. That's, it's, yeah. So, This is regarding Hanukkah. Okay, so Hanukkah this year was celebrated from December 10th through December 18th. And the tradition, the Pittsburgh tradition that we're talking about here, is the Grand Menorah Parade. And that happens on the sixth night of Hanukkah, of the celebrations. So this Grand Menorah Parade, it's put on by the Chabad of Squirrel Hill. So there are dozens of menorah-topped vehicles, which are also known as menorah mobiles. I mean, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And they wind through the streets of several neighborhoods in that Squirrel Hill area. And so this has been for several years now. And this year, despite, of course, there were 2020 restrictions on other activities because there's the parade and then other, activities and celebrations that follow it. There were some restrictions, but the parade was able to go on. And that would have been on December 15th of this year. And actually, they made some, they kind of retooled some of the celebrations to make it possible in these COVID times. So there was also a Hanukkah truck featuring an LED screen playing holiday-themed videos. They had a fire juggler.
Whoa.
And individually wrapped treats and a raffle. And then, of course, a menorah lighting. And they also delivered 400 holiday-themed bags to those who could not be out with the community to celebrate.
Oh,
so
nice.
They were delivered, isn't it? And so, and this is actually a quote from Rabbi Altin of the Chabad of Squirrel Hill. And he's actually said this last year, obviously pre-COVID, when the activities and the festivities would go on as usual. But what he said was, quote, "You get tons of people sitting on the street smiling. It really brings the warmth and joy of Hanukkah to the masses, which is what we were looking to do."
Well, that's very
Isn't that
lovely.
nice?
That's all befitting of the Festival of Lights.
So those are the two Pittsburgh traditions that we're celebrating on this very special version of Name That Neighborhood.
Well, thank you for the education there, Tressie.
Oh, you're welcome, Don. Thanks for sharing your story about Nana.
Absolutely.
And that is going to wrap it up for us here. Episode 11, Yins Are Good. I am your host, still, Tressa Glover. And if you're listening to this before New Year's Eve 2020, silver linings, focus on the good stuff. As we look forward to the year ahead, let's also remember the good things that did happen in this, here's the word everyone uses, but unprecedented year for us. And if you're listening to this after, same thing, right? Let's keep looking ahead, find those silver linings. And I do wish for you all joy, wherever you can find it, happiness, peace, good health, lots of laughter, lots and lots of laughter. Thank you again for listening. And until next time, be safe, be kind, be good. And special thank yous to Don DiGiulio and, as always, for our incredible artwork, Mike Ravino.